Tesla Semi cruising down the road. How about that?
A good example of the collapse steering.
Co-steering here. Also, it's braking for it. Yeah, I just co-steered, and it's still engaged. The system is still engaged.
We do have an expert driving fleet internally. So those are people that will drive the cars according to what we want the product spec to look like.
Oh.
What we're highlighting today is just a snapshot in time. So you kind of, if you were to see the system a month or two ago and where it will be a couple months from now, I think we'll continuously kind of improve. And the goal is to be on an exponential trajectory.
So
it just broke for the cutout.
Yep.
So I was ready to take over.
Yeah, no curbing of the wheel. Nice. That's great. Can't tell you how many times I've experienced a wheel curb in a situation like that. So we're going to have to merge here.
I might take over.
Okay, yeah, because it was getting pretty close to that MDX. This video is brought to you by OpenVPP and Ionna. OpenVPP, a global virtual power plant for electric vehicles. See vehicles charging across the world and zoom in to see real-time charging status in what aims to be the world's largest vehicle virtual power plant. OpenVPP allows you to track charging history, energy usage, and daily trips, comparing your usage versus others, day to day and month to month. With OpenVPP, we're working together to showcase the potential of EV charging to electric grid operators. There may even be future coordinated EV charging rewards coming soon. So sign up today at world.openvpp.energy. It's completely free to join and takes under 60 seconds. And Ionna, the EV charging network brought to you by the world's leading automakers. Ionna is raising the bar on what it means to charge. We're talking a 400 kilowatt minimum nationwide network built with the customer in mind. Fast, reliable, affordable, every single time. Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Rivian just went through a whole huge announcement on autonomy and AI and the plans for their future vehicles. I was lucky enough to be there with Scott in Palo Alto for their Autonomy Day presentation, and we even got to go for a ride in their future system that will roll out to consumers sometime in 2026. And in this video, I'm going to show you a raw and uncut version of that ride. I will have other videos coming, breaking down AI, Autonomy Day, showing you other features like the Rivian Voice Assistant, some of the chips that they're using, and a lot of interviews that I did on site during that day. But the most exciting is to actually see where they are in their current progress towards point-to-point level 2 autonomy. Now, I'll explain the whole level 2 thing, the SAE levels, very briefly, but then we'll also talk about some of their plans for the future. And yeah, it's a whole Rivian Autonomy episode. And in this episode, you are going to join me truly for an uncut, unedited ride of what they had to show us, because it, on the surface of it, didn't really seem that good. Well, I was in Palo Alto for the Autonomy Day presentation with Scott, and we had an awesome time. First of all, shout out to all the Rivian engineers that we met who came up and said hello. It was really great to meet you guys and see many familiar faces as well. I'll have other videos coming breaking down Rivian Autonomy Day. In this episode, I really just want to show you the raw and uncut version of this drive. And before we get into anything regarding the Rivian system, I have a question for the audience, for you guys, which is there's sort of two ways that I could go about evaluating and approaching a system like this, and I'm completely torn and completely split on how I should feel about this. So first of all, a lot of you know, let me start with the negative, the cynical side of my evaluation, which is a lot of you know I live with Teslas. We own a couple of them, and I actually have 3 Tesla test vehicles here at the office right now with hardware 4 and FSD 14. And they're incredible. I can literally today in a basic standard Model Y, which is parked right over here, hit any destination I need to go to, and with, yes, supervision, but with a high level of confidence, it will get me there with 0 driver takeovers. It can handle complex driving tasks. It can handle multiple weather scenarios, including snow and ice, and even driving on roads with unpainted lines and handling crazy drivers and stuff. That exists today. And if you haven't experienced the version 14 of Tesla full self-driving supervised, you really should, because it's an incredible system as to what they've been able to achieve. Now, what they're able to achieve in the future with that system, whether it's eyes off, whether it's full robo-taxi with no one behind the wheel, I don't know. I can be excited for it, but no one knows truly until it happens. So on one hand, you have an amazing system that's out there today in very reasonably priced electric cars that you can lease for under $400 a month and then subscribe for $100 a month for FSD level tech. That exists. So when new systems get demoed or shown on the market that are clearly nowhere near the level of capability of these systems, should we be excited or should we be critical? Because there's always the future promise of more driving data, feed the AI, build the machine that can then, calculate driving tasks and spit out a better software update for the end user. However, to me, the way I kind of look at that internally is, imagine you want to start a company that builds sports cars. You're like, okay, I want to build a new sports car that's going to do everything a Porsche 911 can do. But you can go and buy a Porsche 911 today. And the Porsche 911 is amazing on the road. It's amazing on the track. It's efficient. It's going to hold its value really well. And it really is just the embodiment of a perfect sports car. So when you launch a new sports car at a new company, in my mind, you have to be at that level. You've got to get up there. But it kind of feels like you're launching a sports car that can't go on the racetrack and is super inefficient. And who knows what the warranty is like. And there's so many unknowns. And when I look at Rivian's system compared to Tesla FSD on the market today, it is so far behind what Tesla is currently offering. Now, that's the cynical way of looking at it, okay? And I understand a lot of work has to be done here. Then you can look at the other side of the equation, which is, how cool is it that Rivian saw what Tesla was doing with FSD, saw what Xiaopeng was doing, Li Auto, Huawei ADS, all the other systems we've demonstrated on this channel. How cool is it that Rivian has seen the light, that you can have manual driving or automated driving, and they want to build the entire stack vertically integrated all the way down to the silicon. They want to do their own AI models. They want to do their own training. They want to build their own driving character, their own experience around point-to-point autonomy. And this is the beginning stages of that. This is the day one, and it will grow and get better over time. That's how I want to be. I want to be very positive, but I got in this system today in this video, and you're going to join me for the drive. And I just kept thinking, holy smokes, everyone is so far behind Tesla that it's like not even funny. It's like scary how far behind everyone is. And I've just ridden in some other systems that I'll talk about next year that are kind of also very far behind. And I just don't know how to approach these systems. So first of all, let me break down what Rivian is promising, and then we'll go for the drive out there, okay? So Rivian wants to make their vehicles point-to-point autonomous with a supervised driver behind the wheel. That means hands off, but eyes on. That's how they'll start. Then they're going to go hands off, eyes off, and then eventually it'll go to driverless personal mobility. Not necessarily going into robo-taxi, but owning your autonomous pod, which to me is probably the most attractive use case of a vehicle for me personally. I don't really like the idea of calling a cab-like vehicle, having it roll up, and then me putting my stuff in there and then having to take my stuff out when I'm done. I just like having my car, my setup, but then it to drive me around. But then also, I always want the option to drive manually when possible. It seems like Rivian and I are kind of aligned on what we like. By the way, I should also mention, I own 3 Rivians. I love them. My Rivian R1T, my Generation 1 early truck, truly the best thing I've ever spent money on. I'm a huge Rivian supporter from the sidelines, but I'm also going to try and treat them as fairly, just like I have to review every car out there. I'm a fan of many car makers out there, of course. As a car enthusiast, that is natural. So Rivian, we were at this AI thing, and they're like, hey, why don't you go for a ride in our point-to-point level 2 system? This, they claim, will launch in my Generation 2 vehicles, everyone's Generation 2 vehicles, sometime in 2026. So let's say a year from now. I'm filming this midway through December 2025. Let's say midway through December 2026, a system like this will launch. And the way Rivian will roll this out is you'll get certain features throughout 2026 to then encompass everything we're seeing today. So what we're going to be going for a ride in is an early preview at what could be coming sometime next year as part of the Rivian Autonomy platform, which you have to pay monthly or a one-time fee. It's $2,500 or $50 a month. And then you'll get these features through over-the-air software updates. In full transparency, what you're about to see is impressive on one hand, because you're seeing a startup automaker develop their entire stack and driving experience from the ground up, but also incredibly unimpressive because it is so far away from the market leader in the segment. I'm just sitting here editing this video. One last thing, guys. UHF, Universal Hands-Free. That is coming to Rivian vehicles starting basically now in the .46 update. I will have a whole video coming as soon as that hits our R1Ss, and I can't wait to play around with that. Functionally, that is going to massively increase the system as to what we have today, which will take us from being locked to pre-mapped highways with lane centering to now being able to work lane centering on any road that's out there, which is wonderful, but with the added benefit of being actually hands-free, even when there's unmapped roads. As long as you got lines down there, the thing's going to rock and roll. I can't wait to play around with that. There's also different driving characters that will come into play with that software update. So plenty more to come in the short-term updates. What we're talking about now is really Rivian demonstrating a software that's 1 year plus or minus away. And man, I know it doesn't come off this way, but I am so incredibly excited to experience this. And before you get into anything, I'm so incredibly excited and thrilled to know the Rivian team that's working on this, but I gotta be realistic in the evaluation as to my experience today with the system. So let's jump over here and you'll join me for the ride.
So we're gonna do a closed loop in Palo Alto. Should take about 20 minutes. We'll cover a variety of different scenarios, crosswalks, traffic lights, speed bumps. So we'll try to call them out as we go along. The big difference with this is they talked about UHF. So UHF is the existing product. And what this is using the same foundation model, but it's actually doing the entire end-to-end driving task. So it'll be turning the wheel, it'll be accelerating, braking, and turning on the turn signals.
And will this be ever seen in a consumer vehicle?
Yep. So the plan is, I think the timeline somewhere late 2026.
Okay, so maybe a year away, this could come through an over-the-air update to a Gen 2 Rivian.
Yeah, and the model does power a lot of the existing features, so kind of things will roll out incrementally, but yeah, what we're highlighting here is really the underlying technology.
Cool. Well, I'm super excited.
Cool. Everyone buckled in? Nice.
So the system, will it park in and out of parking spaces?
So we're not demoing that today. We're just doing surface streets.
Okay.
Parking is on the roadmap.
But everything we're experiencing today is not done by a partner. It's done with Rivian software.
This is Rivian hardware, Rivian software.
Amazing. So we're not asking it to do anything in parking lot.
No, yeah, we're going to engage on the actual, on the surface street.
Understood.
Yeah, once when we engage, ideally the system is driving autonomously the whole time. Obviously, there may be some takeovers. It's not a perfect system yet.
I just engaged highway assist. That's free.
And we have it in mild driving style? Because there's mild, medium, and spicy or something like that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, go ahead.
That's a holdover from the existing UHF system. So that's not actually tuned.
I see. So this is one set of driving behavior that you've programmed in the car, but do you expect to have consumers to have the ability to adjust the driving style?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, for personal autonomy, there's not going to be a one-size-fits-all. So we do need to be able to differentiate the driving style for different users.
Mm-hmm. And the driving tasks that this system can handle would be stop lights, merging on the highway, turns. Is it really end-to-end regardless of the driving scenario?
It is end-to-end, so it's everything that would be required to go from A to B. We're trying to provide people with as much personal autonomy with their vehicle as possible.
Okay, so turn signals on, can see that. So let's see how long it takes from when the light goes green to when we start moving.
I will preface that this is a very long light. so we will be,
Okay.
we will be waiting about 2 minutes.
And Scooter, if there's any time that you need me to stop talking, you just tell me.
Oh, no, you could talk the whole time.
Oh, don't tell me.
Oh, that looks like a rough day at the office. So everything that's showing on the screen, is that what the consumer version would sort of look like as well?
Yeah, this is actually the consumer grade software that runs on the HMI. So it shows the vehicles and the surrounding map.
And this is technically a level 2 plus system of some kind.
Yeah,
I guess that's not really.
The pluses, but
the pluses don't mean anything, right?
Yeah, there's plus and then there's plus plus.
Yeah. I just heard one of the Germans say plus plus plus. I'm like, where's the last one coming from?
But yeah, it is an L2 hands-free system, but we do require people to be paying attention. And there's an interior cabin camera for watching.
Right, that's inside the mirror.
Oh, that was
So
fast.
we did go.
Great reaction to the green light. Turning smooth and nice. And we're getting right into the turn lane. How about that?
So there's one feature that's maybe worth highlighting. We haven't used it yet, but the cars do have the ability to do what we call collab steering. So that actually lets the driver do some small amount of input into the steering rack without like triggering a disengagement. So the idea is that you could nudge around or an object or get to whatever comfortable lane position you feel is necessary for you.
That rolled out in one of the recent OTA updates, right?
Yeah, it's actually part of the UHF experience as well.
The nudge has changed my life.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It made me so nervous going by the semi.
Oh
Now
yeah.
I can over her.
Yeah, it really. And then the nice thing too is then we can we can log those events and then use that to sort of improve the model over time.
So we're going to have to merge
I
here.
might take over.
Okay, yeah, because it was getting pretty close to that MDX.
So re-engaged now.
Okay. So in the consumer version that you would release, would you expect to have all these little tiny wheel inputs and the issues with dealing with cars next to you? I mean, is this something that'll be
That's a good
improved?
example of the collab steering.
Co-steering here. Also, it's braking for it. Yeah, I just co-steered, and it's still engaged. The system is still engaged.
Okay, so you hit the accelerator pedal and steered, but the system stayed on.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, but is the intention for the system to drive around parked cars like that at some point?
Yep. Yeah, I think that's the goal.
Okay.
We're going to continually improve the system. We do have the ability to log takeovers and feed that back into our training
Okay.
procedure. So
Yeah, it feels, that just felt
we should
totally
slow down
awkward.
for the speed bump here. So.
Yeah.
Okay,
And again, this is all driven by the model.
yeah. There was a weird deceleration on the downhill of the speed bump, though. It should have just got us out of there. And so how early of this, in terms of difference, because obviously this is going to improve dramatically between now and consumer release, would you say how early of a preview is this?
It's fairly early. I mean, I think we've had a pretty aggressive development plan for this, obviously. What we're highlighting today is just a snapshot in time. So you kind of, if you were to see the system a month or two ago and where it will be a couple months from now, I think we'll continuously kind of improve. And the goal is to be on an exponential trajectory.
Yeah, so really nice getting over there, super smooth. That was really nicely handled, that situation. And the cadence of software updates for this type of system, obviously it sounds like a system like this isn't just going to show up one day and boom, you've got all this functionality. It will come over time.
Yep.
Is it every month we'll get something? Is there no promise, or what is the...
Yeah, I mean, I think as you're familiar with, the nice thing about the Rivians is they have the ability to update the software over the air. Autonomy gets packaged up with all of the other features, so there is some release cadence, and we do historically, update and make improvements to the model and the driving behavior release over release.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is something we can expect rapid improvement on then.
We definitely have the ability to rapidly improve and ship those improvements to customers.
And, some of your competitors, for example, Tesla, will say the more you drive their car, the better it gets. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. Is that the case here, where you want customers out driving using the system, or does it not make much of a difference?
It makes a huge difference, actually. So we we do have the ability to use the customer fleet to log different examples. Wherever people take over, presumably it's an example of something interesting happening in the scene. One of the problems with millions of miles of driving is that a lot of them are uninteresting. So you actually do need to be able to look through your massive data set for interesting events. And customer takeovers are kind of one way of narrowing down that problem. Obviously, we have a lot of other tools for doing that as well. So it's not the only tool in the tool shed, but yeah, we do expect that shipping this and putting in. I think James talked about apprentice mode. Apprentice mode is another valuable tool we have for not only measuring our performance, but also finding interesting events and using that to feedback.
And can you explain, just for the viewers that are listening, what apprentice mode actually does?
Apprentice mode is, so basically the car is continuously running the model in the background. And so that's powering a lot of the features. Some of them are showing up in the HI. And apprentice mode lets us also run the end-to-end driving stack and in the background. So we can look for things like, are there differences between the way the human drives the scenario versus the way we were planning to drive it? And that also kind of gives us some insight into where interesting scenes or places for the model to improve would be.
And what's your plan for handling speed limits? For example, we were just 8 miles an hour over the posted speed limit. Is that something that you're willing to let go above? For example, some systems do. I just demoed another system that was capped right at the speed limit unless the driver overrides. What's Rivian's strategy for speed limit handling?
I think from a product flexibility standpoint, we have a lot of flexibility what exactly the product will look like, as we get closer to release. I can put you in touch with James. You get a little bit better sense of that.
Yeah. Tesla Semi cruising down the road. How about that? Cool. This is a fun drive, guys. So like here, kind of going slow, very cautiously creeping up, but also very efficiently driving. Do you think that there is going to be a balance of the driving character? Like you mentioned, you will probably be able to choose your driving character between more of an efficient drive or speed-based, or what? Have you thought about those?
That is a really interesting point. I mean, I think there's a lot of flexibility for us, like from a, I can talk on the technical side. So like from a technical perspective, there's like certainly the ability for us to support a lot of different things. I think like how that matches up with what Rivian wants the product to actually do and for customers to experience, I think is some partnership with them. So yeah, efficiency. I think it would be very cool if you could choose like an efficiency mode. Presumably that would also correspond with more relaxed driving.
And so R2, for example, will have, not at launch, but after launch, a LiDAR option. This car that we're experiencing today is able to do all of this. Obviously, we're in bright and sunny California. It's super nice. And it seems to be doing a pretty confident job of navigating through at least very normal, basic driving scenarios. Will the LiDAR in R2 increase functionality measurably?
So I think, part of the sensor strategy that we have is really trying to complement different sensors such that you get the best of both worlds, or the best of all worlds.
We got in front of the Model X there? Okay, nice. I was watching that happen, yeah.
So on sunny days like this, right, cameras work great. I think, we're excited about with LiDAR and some of the other sensors is really improving the recall in more challenging environments. So I think it's, mostly about improving, let's say, recall. If you're familiar with that.
Nope, not familiar with that word.
Okay. Basically, it's about making sure that you're able to capture all of the scenarios that you're worried about.
Will your system go right on red?
This is actually one of the things James talked about in the AI day. So we do have the ability to align it differently. So in the previous street, there's cross traffic that comes at 50, 60 miles an hour. So in that scenario, we've actually aligned it to come to a complete stop. For this demo, we're not going to show
anything crazy.
Yeah. In that scenario, there's no cross traffic,
so they might pull out here, but are we slowing for them or the speed bump?
We are mainly slowing for the speed bump. They're still out of our path, so I was just ready to nudge it if I needed to, but they stayed in their lanes.
Okay, understood. Thank you. And in terms of how you'll handle stop signs, so I didn't fully pay attention, but I think we did a little roll through that red light on red back there.
Yes.
Will you do the California roll, or will you have to do a 2-second stop, or what's the plan on that?
For this demo, you're very likely to see a small roll. Like James was talking about, we do have the ability to sort of change the alignment to meet what the product goals are. So that can change over time, and we expect it to.
Yeah, and one of the questions I've always had, which is not to throw any shade, but Tesla's always said, okay, the more you drive, we take driving data from Tesla drivers and then spit that into their model. But again, this is just coming from me, not anyone else. Tesla drivers kind of suck at driving, so then you would think the car would drive terribly. So how much can you influence the Rivian driver data that you're getting into the output of the system?
We do have an expert driving fleet internally. So those are people that will drive the cars according to what we want the product spec to look like.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
one of the tools we have for getting to some product alignment, in addition to the RL techniques that James was mentioning.
That is interesting. So you'd have to characterize how you want the car to drive and then tell them how to drive in the real world, I guess.
I'm going to brake here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we took over.
Yeah, this is I think some tree cutting that's going on. So.
Will it go on the slow, or we have to re-engage?
We have to re-engage.
For this demo, we're not
doing any construction crazy stuff. Yeah.
So I'm re-engaged now. Unfortunately, there is tree trimming on our drive today.
Yeah, that's a bummer. So super cautious at the intersection. Again, no one's over there, but I did it. It feels, and maybe you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but it feels like you're taking a very cautious approach to the acceleration of the Rivian. And do you expect the overall driving character in terms of like we're braking now super cautiously where I think we could go?
Yeah. So I did push it a little bit just so that it would go. And so that we would make the light.
Do you expect that character, that sort of cautious feeling to come out in 2026, end of 26 when this launches in customer vehicles? Or do you think a lot of that will be tuned out by using that expert fleet of drivers?
Yeah, we talked a bit about this with the driving style, so I think that we do intend to let users differentiate their driving preferences. For this demo, as you can imagine, we have dialed it to conservative settings. So this is really meant to be demonstrating the technology, not necessarily the final iteration of the product.
Understood.
Yep.
Oh, nice. Coming in, didn't slam on the brakes, handled it perfectly.
Emergency vehicle.
And that brings up another good point.
Yes.
How would you handle emergency vehicles?
So today we don't handle emergency vehicles. I think that's a highlight of the fact that this is an L2 system. So we're relying on the user to be paying attention and take over where the system's not capable of operating. Obviously long term, like as we increase the autonomy capabilities, that is something we'd want to add.
And would you do that through detecting of lights from them, obviously through the camera system? But is there the ability to detect sirens through microphones on the outside of the vehicle?
We will have to ask about that. I'm actually not familiar with it.
Okay. Some automakers put mics on the outside, some use the internal mics, but then if you got the stereo blasting, I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be interesting to see. So it's turn signal on way in advance, which is great. Merging over perfectly.
I take the bike lane.
Yep. And then hopefully, no curbing of the wheel. Nice. That's great. Can't tell you how many times I've experienced a wheel curb in a situation like that. Yeah, it's so exciting from my perspective to see the work being done because I have both a Gen 1 and we have a couple Gen 2 Rivians and we love them.
Yeah.
And we haven't been driving them as much because of the lack of a system like this.
Yeah.
And I just want this in one of our cars. So
it just broke for the cutout.
Yep.
So I was ready to take over.
Mm-hmm.
And I re-engaged.
So again,
Yeah, I
very
think a lot
cautious.
of people that are really excited about the Rivian brand are very excited about autonomy coming to it. So
Yeah.
It's me.
Yeah, Scott really wants this. Yeah, Scott, would you use this in your car?
Every day.
Okay, cool. Yeah, she'll be putting it to the test though. So
Yeah.
be careful with her. She'll drive it off the edge of a cliff and be like, oh, we'll let the car handle it.
the Rivians are a lot of fun to drive, but a lot of people have commutes.
Yeah.
And it would be
A lot
good.
of people have carpal tunnel.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
use case in our family.
Oh, interesting.
Got somebody who it really hurts her to hold the steering wheel.
I see. So being hands-free would really
So
help.
I'm taking over here.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was a really interesting demo. Good insight into what could be a really good system when it reaches customer cars in about a year's time. So thank you for the ride. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
thanks.
thank you so much.
So now you've joined me for an uninterrupted and uncut drive of Rivian's point-to-point level 2 plus system. By the way, the pluses and the level 2 and the level 3 and the level 4, the SAE nomenclature, it's really difficult and it doesn't actually align with the customer experience. For example, level 2 systems with driver supervision are way more useful, in my opinion, than the level 3 systems that are on the market, which is like Mercedes, hands off, eyes off in a very segmented window. It can't work below a certain temperature. It has to be in a speed range, and it works better in Germany than it does in the US. You can go up to almost 60 miles an hour. Anyway, doesn't matter. We should do a whole video on that in the future. I'm really curious to see what you guys thought. First of all, I think what I would like to comment on are the positives, which are the bones of the system, the overall driving character, the robustness that it felt. You know, it felt like a really nice base level understanding of how to maneuver a vehicle, of which Rivian can spend the next 1-2 years building on to then make a very comparable system to potentially what Tesla's offering today. I thought that the fact that they're working on this is exciting to me because I choose to drive a Tesla more often than almost any other vehicle today because of a system like this. And personally, I prefer, if I have the option, to drive a Rivian just because I fit better in there. I love the interiors. I love the experience. Truly, I drive a Rivian as my personal vehicle because I love it. I would much rather have a point-to-point level 2 system in a Rivian than have to drive a Model 3 or Model Y around, or even my Model S with hardware 3, just because I enjoy that experience so much more. So I'm personally so excited for the system to get better, and I can't wait to show its improvements. So that's sort of the positive side of this. Also, the price seems very reasonable, $2,500 for all of that. Seems great. I'm in on that. The negatives, it's just not even close to what's on the market today. Like I mentioned earlier on in the video, you want to launch a sports car company that can do what a 911 can do, but its 0 to 60 is 10 seconds and it can't even complete one lap of the track. I mean, that's what this feels like today. It's so cool to get an early sneak preview of where Rivian is with this system. But if you were to evaluate the system as it currently stands, it is not a good system in the context of the marketplace. It is so far behind what Tesla is doing. And I have a hard time getting excited about a system like that because it just isn't good yet. That's really it. Now, that's not to say they won't get better. I know the people at Rivian working on this, and many of them are friends of mine. And so I trust the people, I trust the process, and I trust the experience, but I could not feel comfortable coming to you today with this video after you experiencing this drive with me and making you feel like somehow Rivian did something incredible or amazing. They did what they should have been doing for the last few years, and now we're experiencing that drive, and they've got a lot of work to do. And I think they can do it. And I can't wait to put it head to head against FSD and the Chinese systems, of course, which are also incredible. And I'm so thrilled that Rivian is doing this in-house. They could have got a jump start. They could have worked with local partners, maybe an NVIDIA or something like that, and inserted their self-driving chip, software onto a Rivian chip, or even buy a chip third party. And they could have just, licensed it out. They could have licensed FSD. I mean, Tesla engineering is like 2 buildings down from Rivian. They're right next to each other. They could have done all of that. I think it's so important for Rivian to build their own brand value and their own brand character by going at it alone and doing it in-house and doing it vertically integrated. And I commend them for that. And they should also know by doing it that way, it's going to be a slower and harder process, but potentially could lead to a better outcome at the end, which will then differentiate them from legacy automakers, many of which are going with partners to fulfill their point-to-point autonomous needs. And I think this is the key point here for this video, which is it's going to be the long slog, the real hard process to get to the end goal here, but it does feel like the right approach. But at the same time, they should have known we were going to come film the video and say, hey, it's not good today. And it is not good today, but it's cool to get a sneak preview of it. And I can't wait to experience it when it is good and as it gets better. So let me know what you think I should do when I review these systems, because this is not the first, and I've got many more that I'm going to be trying as many automakers try to get into the level 2 point-to-point game. Should I be receptive and forgiving and flexible and saying, oh, they're early, they haven't had much time to work on these systems, clearly they aren't going to be the market leader, but hopefully they'll get good one day? Or should I say, you know the benchmark and you just showed everyone a system that was so much worse? Why? I mean, we all know why. They don't have the driving data. They don't have the models that Tesla does, but that's where they are. So can't wait to see what you guys think. I hope that's a realistic take on what I was shown. I'm so thrilled for Rivian to be going down this path. I can't wait to support them from the sidelines and cheer them on with every update and hammer them for every update that sucks, as we always do. But I'm just excited my R1S will get better and more capable. But you really got to pay attention behind the wheel with level 2 autonomy systems. Thanks so much for watching another Out of Spec Reviews video. See you on another one again soon. Bye-bye.